All right, we'll bring it back here stateside, where an outpouring of anti-Semitic and pro-Palestinian protests right here in the Big Apple, New York City, here live on your screen, courtesy of EarthCam, leading to the election of the city's first Muslim mayor. Zoran Mamdani promised to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, speaking of, if he does indeed visit New York City. And he's expressed strong anti-Israel sentiments in the past as well, and many Jewish New Yorkers considering him to be anti-Semitic.
Now that could spell trouble for New York's Governor Kathy Hochul, who's up for re-election next year. Some say Mamdani's rise could play a crucial role in the governor's race. That's where New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik comes in. She's been a staunch advocate for the Jewish community for several years now, and she's taking a big stand.
The Empire State has fallen.
People are just going crazy over the amount of taxes here.
There's no question, New York is facing an affordability crisis.
Top leaders in New York City say a wave of migrant crime has washed over the city.
But from the ashes of Kathy Hochul's failed policies, New York will rise. Like we always do, Elise Stefanik will clean up Kathy Hochul's catastrophe.
And with that, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik joins us here in our Newsmax studios. Good morning to you, Congresswoman.
Great to be with you.
You as well. Thank you. We just showed our viewers your advertisement there, your campaign. You're officially announcing it. How will you make New York safer for Jewish residents and really all residents of the Empire State?
I am running to save New York. We're the most unaffordable state in the nation, and we are one of the most unsafe. And that's because of Kathy Hochul's failed rule. We are the highest tax state in the nation, the highest energy prices, utility prices, groceries, rent, insurance, and it's because of the failed tax and spend policies coming out of Albany and, frankly, New York City. We also are unsafe. Kathy Hochul has led a New York that is pro-criminal, putting law-abiding New Yorkers last, whether it's failed bail reform or whether it's the fact that she has not stood up on behalf of Jewish New Yorkers who have faced a skyrocketing of anti-Semitism. And this new mayor, who is an anti-Semite, defund the police, full-blown communist, he is a socialist. Kathy Hochul endorsed him, propelled him, and she is going to own all of his positions lock, stock, and barrel.
So the governor found out about your bid, and then because of that, she put out her own campaign video firing back. I want to play that for our viewers and get your response here.
Now Elise Stefanik is running for governor of New York to do what she's always done, put Trump first.
She is phenomenal. She is a friend of mine.
Phenomenal at putting Trump ahead of you.
It's quick, but using Trump as somewhat of a negative piece against you, are there other things that possibly New Yorkers care about other than linking you to Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, Kathy Hochul is running scared. The fact that I am polling ahead of her or within the margin of error in almost every single poll shows that she is in free fall. She can't get above 50% of Democrat voters in this state, which is why she endorsed Mamdani. Look, New Yorkers know that I have a very effective working relationship with President Trump. While I've been in Congress, I've delivered results with Republican presidents and Democrat presidents, and consistently throughout my time in Congress, I've put New Yorkers first. That's unlike Kathy Hochul, who after one term in Congress was fired. And the reality is, Kathy Hochul doesn't want to tell this to her far left, but she runs down to Washington, D.C., begs President Trump, who knows she's a weak governor, and then publicly will blast him to try to, as I said, coalesce her support. I'm the only candidate who has a result and has a record of putting New Yorkers first, of cutting taxes, which I delivered by working with President Trump. But make no mistake, the names on the ballot next year will be Kathy Hochul and Elise Stefanik, and the majority of New Yorkers know that Kathy Hochul has failed New York.
We're always reminded, by the way, that New York is so much greater than just New York City, right? And so we do have differing perspectives and Republicans that are scattered throughout the Empire State. If we could just for a second, back to that New York City mayor's race here. I spoke to a lot of my Jewish friends. They totally did not feel comfortable voting for Zoran Mamdani, but he did meet with some members of the Jewish community, and it seemed to go over well. Here's that conversation.
We recently met and we found out that he's Jewish. His mother was Jewish, and his grandmother was Jewish. So, Mr. Mayor, we might find out very soon that you're Jewish. Don't hang out with me. So, welcome to our community. We hope you come back. Absolutely. We believe you will, and you bring along. Eric is going to show you the directions how to get here. You're almost here every week. If you're not here as Brad, name with everybody. So thank you for coming. Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So in this moment, obviously sharing a meal with members of the ultra-Orthodox community. Some more progressive, maybe less religious Jews could also have joined in favor of his campaign. Why do you think that is? And would you be able to win over their support for your own governor's race?
Well, first of all, I am the leader in the United States Congress combating anti-Semitism. Because of my hearing where you had the presidents of MIT, Penn, and Harvard, it set off an earthquake in higher education with those pro-Hamas encampments that were anti-Semitic, including on Columbia and at Cooper Union right here in New York City. And Kathy Hochul did nothing. She did nothing to protect Jewish students. I'm going to stand up for all Jewish New Yorkers. And regardless of what Mamdani says, look at his actions. He has voted in the Assembly and said as a seated member of the New York State Assembly that he wants to defund the police, that he believes Israel does not have a right to exist, that he would arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He has campaigned with the unindicted co-conspirator of the World Trade Center 1993 bombing that killed New Yorkers. This is someone who a part of his ideology is to be anti-Semitic. New Yorkers want someone who's putting New Yorkers first and protecting all New Yorkers. That's what I'm committed to doing, and that's what Kathy Hochul failed to do. She has bent the knee, she propelled him, and when you look at his election outcome, this is not someone who has a mandate. Traditionally, a Democrat running for mayor gets 70% of the vote. He barely got over 50%. Yeah. So traditional Democrats voted no. They voted no on Mamdani's radical far-left takeover, and they're going to vote no on Kathy Hochul, who elevated him.
Yeah, they didn't want to vote for Cuomo. They did so even still because they did not want him in. That resonated for sure, just not enough. I got to get to what some of the accomplishments that Zoran Mamdani wants to do as mayor in New York City. Things like free bus fare, freezing the rent, free groceries, raising corporate taxes, raising taxes for the rich. A lot of these things he's going to need Albany behind. A lot of these things he's going to need the governor, potentially you, to sign off on. You cannot do these things from Gracie Mansion. You cannot do these things from a mayoral position. With that being said, would you be somewhat of a checks and balances on, if you did move forward, on Zoran Mamdani when it comes to taxes? Can you speak to that?
I would be the only check on Zoran Mamdani because ultimately Kathy Hochul will bend the knee just like she endorsed him. Within 24 hours from Mamdani's supporters heckling Kathy Hochul saying tax the rich, she said she was open to raising taxes. Kathy Hochul herself has a record of raising taxes. When the last election cycle, she said she wasn't going to put into place the commuter tax through congestion pricing. And then she raised taxes on hardworking New Yorkers, which is crushing them, making the city even more unaffordable. I'm the only candidate in this race who has a record of delivering tax cuts. I delivered the largest middle-class tax cut for New Yorkers in this one big, beautiful bill when we raised the state and local tax deduction, which is really, really important for New Yorkers, and even in the suburban area outside of New York City. That is a win, and that is a stark contrast to Kathy Hochul's record. Ultimately, Kathy Hochul is going to have a very difficult first 6 months of next year as she negotiates the New York State budget. Mamdani and the Democrat Socialists are going to hold her hostage. She is being primaried from her left by her own hand-picked lieutenant governor, so she has a primary. Republicans are overwhelmingly unified. I earned over 70% of the Republican county endorsements. The support of the Conservative Party, county execs across the state have endorsed my campaign, and we are winning in any Republican primary poll potentially. So we're not going to have a primary on our side, but we're also going to win those independents and those registered Democrats who felt and know that Kathy Hochul threw them under the bus to try to resuscitate her failing and falling polling numbers.
If you could just get rid of the congestion pricing, you have my vote.
Repeal congestion pricing, day one.
Day one. Day one.
All
there
right.
it is.
That's the campaign promise. And look, your efforts have not gone unnoticed over the weekend. You'd received the Zionist Organization of America's Maccabee Warrior Award for leadership in combating anti-Semitism, even receiving praise from billionaire philanthropist Miriam Adelson. Here's that.
I want to tell you that when I heard you talking to the head of the universities, I said to myself, she has the guts to say the truth. How could we come to a period when we don't have guts to say this truth?
What did that mean for you?
That was very meaningful, and I have been incredibly inspired by these brave students on these campuses who have come forward with their stories of the horrifying circumstances that they have faced, particularly after October 7th, and just the failures of university leaders to combat them and protect students on campus. People are looking for strong moral strength. They're looking for a strong leader to stand up. And in this governor's race, Kathy Hochul hasn't done that. When New Yorkers needed it the most, particularly before this New York mayor's race, she showed weakness and she bent the knee. People need to stand up for strong moral leadership, and that's what I've been proud to do on combating anti-Semitism.
Well, congratulations on that. Before we let you go, obviously we talk a lot about your gubernatorial bid, but she still represents New Yorkers in Congress. Day 41 of the government shutdown still in effect, but it does look like there's some light at the end of the tunnel here, as we've learned that the Senate is willing to put something through. Democrats are on board, and it would come back to the House, to you, to be able to sign off on, which we heard from Speaker Johnson earlier. Just overall comment on this coming back to the House. Is this acceptable to you at this point? Also, maybe why you think that 8 Democrats, some of those independents as well, decided to cross the aisle.
This shutdown was led by New York Democrats Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and cheered on by Kathy Hochul. I have voted consistently throughout my time in Congress to fund the government, just like I voted to fund the government and avoid this government shutdown. It has had incredibly negative impacts on millions of New Yorkers, whether it's the SNAP funding, whether it's LIHEAP, which is important for home heating, whether it's air traffic controllers. It is a disgrace that New York Democrats and Kathy Hochul oppose this bipartisan agreement to reopen the government. I absolutely am voting to reopen the government, just like I have from the beginning, and we will work on lowering health care costs, which, by the way, are a result of Kathy Hochul's vote for a failed giveaway to insurance programs, and I've worked on fixing our health care system to lower costs for patients and families. But we absolutely need to open the government. Shame on Chuck Schumer, shame on Kathy Hochul, who want to continue this government shutdown.
Well, perhaps it will come to an end soon. I know everyone's got holiday plans, so everyone's hoping to get home to their families. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.